Ok, voy a intentar explicar todo biology en el menos tiempo posible, so let's go. Primero, characteristics of living things, organization, genetic code, response to stimuli, homeostasis, metabolism, growth, reproduction, adaptation, and evolution. Ok, lo que sigue. El history of the microscope. Robert Hooke inventó el microscope y él llamó a las células cellulae, que significa little chambers. Luego, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek was the first guy to actually build a microscope. Robert Brown discovered the nucleus. Johann Purkheim discovered the protoplasm. Matthias Schleiden and Friedrich Schwann discovered that all vegetables and animals are made up of cells. And Rudolf Virchow said that discovered that every cell comes from a pre-existing one. There are 5 things about the cell. It's the cell theory. 1, all living things are made up of cells. 2, every cell comes from a pre-existing one. 3, the cell is a psychological unit of life. 4, the cell contains the hereditary information. And 5, que no es de que a rule, pero como que más o menos, is de que the disease begins in the cell. Okay, so there are also 2 types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic do not have an endomembrane system. This means they don't have a nucleus. They are only composed of a cell membrane, a cell wall, cytoplasm, and a nucleoid, which contains the genetic material. While the eukaryotic, they can be classified in 2 again, the animal cell and the plant cell. The animal cell is composed of the cell membrane and the membranous organelles, which are the nucleus, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, the lysosomes, peroxisomes, mitochondria, and also by the non-membranous organelles, which are the cytoskeletal elements, the centrosome, centrioles, ribosomes, and cytoplasmic inclusions. The plant cell is formed by the cell wall, the central vollecule plastids, which are chloroplast and leucoplasts, also chromoplasts, which are aminoplast and elitoplast, and glycosomes and plasmodesma. Okay, so for nutrients to pass through the cell membrane, they need cellular transport. There are 2 types, active and passive. Active are energy that go against the gradients of concentration, while passive, they transport stuff that do not require energy because it goes in favor of the concentration gradients. Passive can have simple diffusion or facilitated diffusion, or ultrafiltration / dialysis diffusion. Then in stage 2, we'll learn about nutrition. Nutrition has a lot of meanings, like nutrition is the process of using nutrients like proteins, lipids, carbohydrate. It can also be the intake of foods according to the needs of each person, or it can be the science responsible for studying the nutrients and their role in the body. Or it can also be nutrients is a set of biological, psychological, and sociological processes involved in the obtaining, assimilating, and metabolizing nutrients in an organism. Nutrients can be classified as macronutrients or micronutrients. Macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and micronutrients are calcium, iron, zinc, vitamin D, and folic acid. A diet is the set of foods that are daily consumed. There can be good diets or bad diets, but to have a good diet, it has to be complete, balanced, safe, enough, varied, and adequate. To have a good diet, you need to eat healthy stuff. And how do you know if you're eating good stuff? By the nutrition labels. The nutrition labels are a tool that by law must be attached to the packaging of all industrial food. Another way to have a balanced diet is to use the feeding guides, like the healthy eating plate or the jug of good drink. The feeding guides are instruments that each country develops to have a material that guides the population about nutrition. Having good eating habits can avoid having eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, malnutrition, overweight, and obesity. Okay, ahora la parte difícil que son todos los systems. We're gonna start with the digestive system. The digestive system breaks down food to turn them into nutrients so that your body can have energy. It does that with mechanical digestion or chemical digestion. So the process of this is that first you eat food that goes through your mouth, and the food is covered with mucus, which is your saliva, and you munch your food with your teeth and tongue. And then when you swallow it, it goes through the pharynx. The pharynx pushes the food into the esophagus during swallowing. The esophagus is the connection between the mouth and the stomach. And so when the food goes into the stomach is the reservoir for food. It regulates the flow of food bolus, and it squeezes the food thanks through the gastric muscle. The stomach also has gastric juice, and this juice is formed by hydrochloric acid and enzymes. This juice is also made by the pancreas. The pancreas is located behind the stomach, and it sends this gastric juice to the stomach. Then the liver. The liver makes bile, and then it sends that bile to the gallbladder. In there, the gallbladder stores the bile, and by the way, it can store about 30 to 50 milliliters of bile. Then the food goes to the small intestine. The small intestine, ironically, is a very big intestine that digests the nutrients, absorbs water and electrolytes. It also absorbs the resting bile and vitamin B12. That food digested in the small intestine is called jejunum. Then, the jejunum goes to the large intestine, and basically here, your body makes poop. Diseases in the digestive system can be gastritis. Gastritis is the inflammation of the stomach that is caused by a substance that irritates it. This substance is hydrochloric acid. It can be ingested or produced by the body when there are bad eating habits taken in action. Also, colitis and colon cancer, it is the consumption of substances hard to digest that help this disease to get stronger. This causes inflammation. Now the excretory system. The excretory system basically makes pee-pee. Aquí en Chile no entiendo nada, pero les puedo explicar cómo funciona el excretory urinary tract. So, aquí están de que los tubitos y bueno, de que las cositas estas son the things, like it's the pee, you know. But the pee needs to be filtrated para que los nutrients se separen. Entonces, aquí hay filtration y cuando en esto amarillo hay nutrients, entonces son reabsorbidos para que se vaya la sangre. Pero también si hay bad substances en la sangre, entonces son secreted to the urinary tract para que se salga del cuerpo. Y aquí hay excretion. So the urinary system is important because it regulates the acid-base balance. This means that it regulates your pH values. Diseases of it can be kidney stones. It is found in the renal pelvis. Also acute pyelonephritis and ascites. It's the inflammation of bladder, which, if not treated right away, forms into spasticemia. Respiratory system. This system carries oxygen to the bloodstream and extracts carbon dioxide through respiration. So this process starts in the nose, in the nasal cavity. Air enters through the nostrils, and in there, like evil substances like bacteria are detained from going into your body through the vibrissae, which are hairs in your nostrils, and the sebaceous glands and sweat glands. The epithelium makes mucus and it helps you to smell. Then the air goes through the pharynx, which is the same tunnel the food goes into. But in the pharynx, there's like a little door that is like the door to the larynx. The larynx is where the vocal cords are found, and the larynx connects the pharynx to the trachea. The trachea regulates the air that enters the lungs. Then the trachea is like divided into bronchi. There are two bronchi. The bronchi are then divided to bronchioles, which are the little veins that transport air to the lungs. The pleura is the layer that covers the lungs, allowing breathing movements, and the alveoli are in the tip of the bronchioles, which exchange the oxygen with blood. Diseases can be bronchitis, which is the inflammation of tubes. It causes shortness of air, coughing, closure of bronchi. Also, emphysema, which are when alveoli walls break. It causes hypoventilation, since if there's less oxygen, then heart diseases can occur. Asthma is shortness of breath, which cause coughing, wheezing, and the feeling of tightness. Lung cancer is caused by smoking, and it is more risky for women than for men, and it's when the toxic compounds in cigarettes are, in your lungs. Y hasta aquí hago el video, ahorita hago parte 2.